Hello, I'm honored to speak to the distinguished audience today at your conference. I'm very sorry I could not be there in person. Instead, please allow me to send this video to you and to your conference. And I'm thanking the conference organizers for having me at your conference. My name is Susanne Gut-Orlowski. I'm the UN CFACT expert and lead author of Recommendation 49. My talk today is about From Data to Impact, Battery Data Exchange for Sustainability, and I will introduce the United Nations Transparency Protocol. In 2015, all 193 member states of the UN adopted the 2030 Agenda, committing to the 17 development goals, the SDGs, as a shared blueprint for a sustainable and inclusive future. Across nations and regions, we are united by common priorities: driving more sustainable consumption patterns, reducing carbon emissions, minimizing pollution, and accelerating the green transition, embracing innovations such as e-mobility and environmentally responsible buildings. To achieve these ambitions, every geography depends on reliable, transparent sustainability information to effectively manage and navigate this transformation. So, always keep in mind, we are united in aiming for a more sustainable world. The UN ECE Recommendation 49, which I had the honor to be the lead author of, is defining a level playing field for sustainability data. This recommendation provides guidance to national and regional policymakers on principles for action to make a positive contribution to the following UN Sustainable Development Goals: no poverty, good health, clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, detect work and economic growth, sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption and production, climate action, life below water, life on land, and partnerships for the goals. And it addresses especially the establishing of trust in product and supply chain data. It is focused on reduced cost and complexity for supply chain actors. It supports small and medium-sized enterprises and actors from low-income countries, and it draws a vision where sustainable behavior is the norm. The United Nations Transparency Protocol implements the Recommendation 49, and it was initiated by the UN CFACT as a supporting instrument for Recommendation 49 design principles. Those design principles are providing an open architecture, care for interoperability, establish trust and conformity, preserve security and confidentiality, support business incentives, foster the adoption of Recommendation 49, and allow an inclusive governance where everyone can participate. So, as a reminder, UNTP is a protocol, not a platform, no central components. It does not require membership, and it preserves your data sovereignty, which is important for many actors around the world. How UNTP is governed. It is governed to scale. The UNTP implementation tree on this diagram shows the roots, the trunk, the branches, and the leaves of UNTP. The roots is the UNTP technical implementations, software systems that are compliant to UNTP, conformity schemes that produce credentials from their conformity schemes in UNTP, and registers, identity registers but also registers of credentials that have been created in UNTP. And then the branches, they stand for different UNTP sectoral collaboration fora where industry comes together to share joint credentials, joint certifications, joint vocabularies to meet the requirements of their industry. For example, the area of agri-food, the area of critical energy transition minerals, the area of textiles. And then in those collaboration fora, they have their activation, community activation programs in the leaves where they have special little groups that look after the right vocabulary and credentials, for example, for wood or leather in textiles, for lithium, copper, and cobalt in the critical energy transmission minerals area, or for hoard and grain in the agri-food area. And with this, everyone is building on the same foundation, which is therewith designed to scale. Let's look at the critical energy transition minerals, which is especially important for the automotive and the battery industry. The critical energy transition minerals UNTP sectoral collaboration fora is designed to bring companies together that work in this environment. It provides structured spaces for UNTP extension developers and implementers within the sector to collaborate and align efforts. These collaboration forums enable stakeholders to discover and build on existing extensions and implementations that are already there that can be reused. And then, of course, reuse schemas, vocabularies, and test assets instead of creating duplicate work. They're here to harmonize sector-specific terminology, vocabulary, metrics, and conformity schemes. They're there for sharing lessons learned, sharing best practices, and pilot outcomes. Also, they can be used to coordinate with regulators, standards bodies, and industry associations. Please find a link in the presentation that you might receive by PDF. Continued at the core, scaling the United Nations Transparency Protocol depends on two complementary principles: interoperability, achieved through technical conformance and testing against UNTP, and alignment, achieved through semantic and organizational collaboration. Both dimensions are essential to enable assistant, trusted, and scalable sustainability data across sectors and geographies. Please also find the link to the collaboration forum on critical energy transition minerals in this presentation, where the UN CFAC group has started to define, for example, digital product passports for copper or sustainability certifications and schemes such as the copper mark. What are the benefits for the battery industry using UNTP and getting engaged into the critical energy transition minerals for a global collaboration? The following are concrete benefits for the Chinese battery industry when using UNTP. First of all, you can achieve an alignment on battery data semantics. How are batteries described? Are Chinese and European and US companies understand the same vocabulary? Second, preparing the Chinese battery ID system data for global compliance. Become interoperable with international regulatory requirements such as the EU battery passport and the Sensenelec JTC 24 standards for the DPP framework and system. You can also participate at the Global Battery Alliance operational trials for the GPA battery benchmark. systems that are currently running, it's never too late to get engaged. You can also reuse the technology for critical minerals data exchange, such as nickel, copper, lithium, and cobalt. You can also profit from the free and open source public good tools that the International Trade Center is currently building alongside the GBA operational trials to support small and medium-sized enterprises in low-income countries. The UNTP protocol will help you digitize the battery industry and supply chain data exchange with lightweight, internationally endorsed standards. Last but not least, you can use the same technological basis for textiles, tires, and other product groups. Now let's look at an example of UNTP in action in the battery supply chain data exchange. For example, the copper mine is issuing a copper passport, which describes the attributes and characteristics of the copper that has been mined. It points to a credential that shows the sustainable mining of that copper and also receives a copper mark credential that again shows that the copper has been sustainably mined. When transforming or shipping the products, a transport event is being created, which then can also help to understand how the product has been produced. At the process facility, a cell passport is issued that describes what has been done in this value-added step. Maybe this facility is creating a self-issued GBA site report to participate at the operational trials, or it receives other conformity credentials compliant to standards that are required by the regulator. The metals are chipped, create a transport event again to the battery maker. Here, the EU battery passport or the China battery ID passport is being created, and other conformity credentials can be linked to either the product or the facility where the battery has been created. Then the batteries are shipped to the consumer, and during the use of the battery, several events can be charged and recorded. For example, charging events, negative events, loading cycles, but also disposal events for the recycler, who then can transform the battery into something else or creates an end-of-life status or a waste handling credentials, which is sometimes required by some regulations globally. We are working together with international partners to implement UNTP. We have several collaborations already in the battery and battery supply chain area. We work with the British Columbia government, the European Commission, the Global Battery Alliance, CATARC, CHEMEX. We work with IMA, GIS1, the Copper Mark, so the International Copper Association. We work with Towards Sustainable Mining, but also with the Consolidated Mining Standards Initiative, which allows to make certification easier in the mining sector. We are also working heavily with the Responsible Business Alliance, creating their first credentials, Open Supply Hub for identification of facilities, and several software implementers that have already started implementing UNTP and work on use cases. You can also visit the UNTP register at the UNECE website to find out more. Now, please get engaged. Shape a sustainable future with us. Either join the work on UNTP. UNTP is currently under review, the version 0.7. Provide us your feedback. If you need help, please get in touch. join the work on the Critical Energy Transition Minerals Forum, or join the work on UNECE Recommendation 49, which is in this area also very important work because it works on conflicting law that aims to provide policy guidance and standardization principles for establishing a mutual recognition legal framework in tracing energy transition minerals in international and cross-industry value chains. And useful links are provided again at the end of this page. And I'm very happy that we are currently establishing a nice cooperation with CATARC, the Chinese Automotive Industry Alliance, to work on UNTP credentials for the battery industry. I'm really looking forward this work to kick off. And with this, I would like to thank you for your attendance. Thank you for your time. Please get in touch if you have any questions about Recommendation 49, UNTP, the Critical Energy Transition Minerals Forum. And with that, I wish you a wonderful conference, very good discussions, and success in the business that you're in. Thank you very much.